Mariah May wins the Women's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament and shockingly betrays, turns and bloodies her mentor, timeless Toni Storm, to conclude last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. All the details on that, plus the identity of the mysterious hologram wrestler teased on AEW Collision possibly has been revealed. Danielson wins the Men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament, will go on to AEW Allin to challenge for the AEW World Championship. Mercedes Moné issues an open challenge to anyone on the AEW Women's roster except Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Backstage details on why Stephanie Vaka signed with WWE over AEW. AEW World Champion Swer Strickland declares he is going to be participating in the upcoming Blood and Guts match on Team AEW. Speaking of Swerve, he's set to face off against Kazuchika Okada in a champion versus champion match next week on Dynamite 250. Darby Allin, he makes his return to AEW TV and calls out the Elite. MJF versus Will Ospreay for the International Championship has also been announced for next week's AEW Dynamite 250 episode on TBS. And Chris Jericho attacks Samoa Joe by driving him through a wall on a forklift and seemingly has written the former AEW World Champion off TV. We'll let you know why. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Mariah May. What a dramatic conclusion to last night's episode of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Mariah May will be facing off against her mentor, timeless Toni Storm, in Wembley Stadium next month after May toppled defending 2023 Owen Hart Cup tournament winner Willow Nightingale in the main event of Wednesday's episode of AEW Dynamite. In doing so, May won the 2024 Owen Hart Cup and earned the right to challenge for the AEW Women's World Championship at All In. That match will not, though, be a match of friends, however, after May and Storm hugged in the ring and walked up the ramp to grab the tournament championship bout. May shockingly attacked Storm with the heavy title bout, beating down the AEW Women's World Champion and her butler Luther to end the broadcast. Now, the Timeless One sat ringside for the match, cheering on her protege, who went strike for strike with Nightingale, who was rocking her best Owen Hart tribute gear. Nightingale hit a cannonball to May from the ring apron, sending May crashing onto the floor. May battled back and hit a hip attack on Nightingale, but was met with a spine buster for her troubles. At one point in the match, May hit a huge headbutt to Nightingale, and both women were knocked out in the middle of the ring. A person in a hoodie, seemingly Stokely Hathaway, confronted Nightingale as she was regaining her composure on the ropes, and former friend Chris Statlander smacked Nightingale while Storm helped May on the opposite side of the ring. May hit a knee strike, but only got two. Nightingale hit a cannonball in the corner, followed by a fireman's carry, which May reversed into her own pinfall for the victory. So seemingly it was all happy and all friendship afterwards, but following the match, May immediately turned on Storm and Luther, even throwing Storm's butler from the stage into the equipment below. May busted Storm open, adding insult to injury by digging the heel of Storm's shoe into the wound. The final shot of Dynamite was that of May kissing Storm's bleeding forehead before staring out into the enraged audience with her mentor's blood smeared across her face. What did you make of this outcome? What did you make of the turn? What did you make of the conclusion of AEW Dynamite? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, has the mystery been solved? Of course, there was quite a lot of talk about this mysterious vignette that aired on AEW Collision last week, and now we may know who indeed is the identity behind the mask. Fans were talking the July 6th edition of AEW Collision, where a vignette saw a man jump through a portal before revealing a mysterious masked figure before words "loading soon" flashed on the screen. Some predicted that this was a way to introduce Ricochet, who has been rumored to be joining the promotion in the near future, while others speculated a gimmick change for a returning Sammy Guevara, who has been away from the company since February. However, AEW CEO Tony Khan actually played down those expectations a little bit on Wednesday, and now the wrestler's identity appears to have been revealed. According to Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net, he is reporting that the masked figure is in fact former AAA star Aramis. The luchador will reportedly be debuting under a new name and persona. Haynes could not confirm a new name or debut date, but said he'd heard the gimmick will somehow resemble a hacker. Haynes also noted that Aramis became available in the the free agent pool due to the fact that he and AAA could not come to terms on a new deal. Shortly after Haynes' report dropped, well-established Lucha Libre insider Lucha Blog confirmed that Aramis is indeed the man behind the mask. Aramis is a 14-year wrestling veteran, having debuted in 2010. While he has worked primarily in Mexico, with AAA being his home promotion, he has made several trips to the United States in recent years, working for PWG, MLW, and GCW, and winning championships in Warrior Wrestling, as well as Lucha Libre Promotions, International Wrestling Revolution Group, and also others. In AAA, he was part of a stable alongside the likes of Laredo Kid and former Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo. Now, reportedly, this is a Tony Khan project as well. PW Insider has corroborated another recent report which claimed that the masked person whose vignettes have aired on AEW TV lately is Mexican star Aramis. As per the report, AEW CEO Tony Khan has created the character and he is excited for the character to debut on screen. There's no date reported for the debut of the character yet, but the report added the character will be a babyface. The report claimed that Aramis was signed to AEW in February, represented by Mask Republic's Lucha Libre agency. So seemingly, again, this is a Tony Khan creation, and he's very excited for it. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now back to Dynamite last night. Bryan Danielson won the Men's Owen Hart Foundation Cup tournament, one of the possible final highlights of Bryan Danielson's career, which in his own words is ending full-time at the end of 2024, occurred Wednesday night in the opening match of AEW Dynamite. Danielson won the Owen Hart Foundation men's tournament final, coming out victorious over a newly returned Hangman Adam Page. Danielson now moves on to Allin at Wembley Stadium in London on August 25 and looks to take the AEW World Championship from Swerve Strickland. Danielson and Page kicked off the show with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest enforcer after Page toppled Jarrett to advance last week in the tournament. The match was fast-paced from the start, with Danielson quickly going for the label lock, but Page getting his foot on the rope. After a picture-in-picture break, Hangman hit a tombstone pile driver, but Danielson kicked out. Page hit another pile driver on Danielson on the outside of the floor. Danielson hit a psycho knee on Page, but didn't have enough energy to go for the pin. Danielson and Page traded headbutts in the middle of the ring before Danielson accidentally hit a psycho knee on the referee. Page tried to capitalize by taking off his belt and wrapping it around Danielson's neck, but Jarrett got in the ring and revealed a referee shirt underneath his t-shirt and took control of the match. Following the confusion, Page hit a deadeye, but Danielson kicked out. Page also hit a buckshot lariat to the back of Danielson, but missed a second. He put Danielson in a crossface, and his opponent appeared to be knocked out, but Danielson's hand didn't drop when Jarrett released it. Danielson reversed the crossface into a pin and picked up the victory. He will now go on to AEW All In to challenge for the AEW World Championship. Mercedes Moné, the feud with Britt Baker is simmering and continuing. AEW TBS champion Mercedes Moné has laid out a challenge to any AEW star for a match on next week's AEW Dynamite, aside from one former AEW Women's World Champion, that being Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Moné, in a post on social media, said that she is open to facing anyone for her title on Dynamite's 250th episode next week at the Simmons Bank Arena in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, the former WWE star admonished fans who posted gifs of Baker in a reply to her post on X, warning them that she would sue or block them. Moné, on this week's Dynamite, once again celebrated her double title victory at Forbidden Door, and this time had security seemingly to protect her from Britt Baker, who returned at the pay-per-view. Moné also informed Baker that she will not face her at next month's All-In pay-per-view in London. Moné had defeated the now WWE star Stephanie Vaka at Forbidden Door, where the former AEW TBS Championship and the latter's New Japan Strong Women's Championship were up for grabs in a winner-takes-all match. Following her win, the CEO was confronted by Baker, who had been away since September due to an injury. Now, speaking of Stephanie Vaka, we got more details on the decision by her not only to leave CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling, but to sign with WWE instead of AEW. Now, if you missed the story yesterday, Stephanie Vaka is bound for WWE. The former CMLL and New Japan champion is set to debut with the United States-based promotion, but there's been some question about her status with CMLL ahead of her signing. According to the Wrestling Observer, Vaka was under contract with CMLL, but the promotion and its partner New Japan knew that Vaka would be negotiating with both AEW and WWE. However, both promotions asked that she still work the upcoming New Japan/CMLL Fantastica Mania show in San Jose, California, as she had been advertised for the show. CMLL also asked her to lose her CMLL Women's title on her way out. Vaka was signed with WWE but was unable to commit to the original Fantastica Mania show, and she vacated her title, leading to a three-way match for the CMLL Women's Championship taking place that night. CMLL and New Japan have already announced Vaka's departure, which signaled her going to WWE. As AEW is a business partner for both companies, it would have allowed her to complete her booked dates. Vaka, of course, had a star-making showing against Mercedes Moné at Forbidden Door, which got the attention of AEW and WWE, with WWE now ready to introduce Vaka to WWE fans in Mexico City on July 13 at an upcoming live event, though it's not known when she'll make her first appearance on WWE TV. Vaka joins former IWGP Women's Champion and Joshi star Julia, who has also recently signed with the company and set to debut at some point in the future. So seemingly, again, we'll get more details on that. We'll let you know in an upcoming video. Now, going back to Dynamite last night, Strickland has revealed he will be competing in Blood and Guts this year. AEW World Champion Strickland is often thought of as a self-interested figure, often more obsessed with his legacy than being ethical or a good sport to his opponents. However, as AEW heads into its annual Blood and Guts match, Strickland announced that he will be bringing the AEW title, representing the company proudly in its battle against the power-hungry Elite. Strickland joins Ring of Honor World Champion Mark Briscoe, who announced himself as the first member of Team AEW. Now, Swerve's addition to the match also meant that Swerve's most bitter rival has decided to join the match as well, fresh off his loss to Danielson. In the finals of the Owen Hart Cup, Hangman Page informed his friends, AEW World Tag Team Champions Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, along with elite compatriot AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada, that he will be their fifth man, with TNT Champion Jack Perry also on Team Elite. But it looks like we may know another person who is going to be joining Team AEW, which we'll get to in just a second. But speaking of Swerve Strickland, he has a big match set up against an Elite member next week on Dynamite, on the 250 episode special. A champion versus champion bout is official. AEW has announced that AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland will face AEW Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada on the July 17th episode of AEW Dynamite on TBS. Strickland issued the challenge to Okada on the July 10th episode of Dynamite. As I mentioned, Strickland and Okada will be on opposing teams for AEW Blood and Guts, which takes place on the July 24th episode of AEW Dynamite. Now, I spoke about this Blood and Guts match and spoke about Team AEW and Team Elite. We may know an extra name on Team AEW. That is the returning Darby Allin. Yes, for the first time since Double or Nothing, Darby Allin is back. While he certainly made an impact in his last surprise return appearance, carrying a flamethrower to join Team AEW ahead of Anarchy in the arena, Darby Allin made another return to AEW last night. Shown in a backstage segment having waged an apparent attack on Elite stooge Brandon Cutler, Darby vowed to get his revenge on the Young Bucks, Kazuchika Okada and Jack Perry. Darby Allin was last seen at the Anarchy in the Arena match on May 26, when the Elite were able to defeat Darby, Bryan Danielson, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood. So seemingly, whilst not officially announced, Darby Allin is going to be on Team AEW. Now, speaking of big matches set for next week, we've got a huge international championship match involving MJF and Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay and MJF are both locked in a battle for hearts and minds of the AEW fanbase, as only one man can be the franchise face of All Elite Wrestling. With Dynamite heading into its 250th episode, AEW President Tony Khan has made a massive match between the two young stars. Will Ospreay will put his AEW International Championship on the line against former world champion MJF. The match is a culmination of the two men's posturing over young upstart Daniel Garcia. MJF attacked Garcia last week, injuring the former Jericho Appreciation Society member and drawing Ospreay's ire. Ospreay has been international champion since May at Double or Nothing, where he dethroned Roderick Strong for the title, his first since joining AEW earlier this year. The upcoming match will be MJF's first title match since returning to AEW, which also took place at Double or Nothing. The former AEW World Champion had been out with multiple injuries suffered over his 1-year-long reign as AEW World Champion. Later in the broadcast, Pac won a four-way match against Kyle Fletcher, Claudio Castagnoli, and New Japan's Tomohiro Ishii to become the next international title contender, challenging the winner of Ospreay vs MJF. Pac cut a promo after the match implying that his title shot could take place when AEW returns to Wembley Stadium at Allin later on this year. So who do you think wins the match, and where do you think this one is going when it pertains to Allin? Let me know your reaction to that one too. And finally, Chris Jericho seemingly has written Samoa Joe off AEW television. In a stunning display last night on AEW Dynamite, Chris Jericho sent Samoa Joe through a wall with a forklift, furthering the duo's long-growing feud and rivalry. The moment came after or during a Stampede Street Fight match between the two on Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. Jericho loaded Joe onto a forklift and then began taking him for a ride. Although officials tried to stop things, this didn't deter Jericho, who kept going and took Joe backstage, eventually stopping in front of a wall. Jericho then proceeded to move forward, sending himself, the forklift, and Joe through the wall. Officials quickly stopped things from there, granting the win to Jericho. After the match, Joe was loaded onto a stretcher and taken off, while Jericho and the learning tree watched on with a smile. Now, as for why Samoa Joe was actually written off TV, well, we got some details now coming from PW Insider. They are reporting the reason Samoa Joe was driven through the wall by Chris Jericho in their Stampede Street Fight on Dynamite and lost the match is because Joe is likely being written off AEW TV because he will be returning as Sweet Tooth for the second season of Twisted Metal, which streams on Peacock. Now, interestingly, some actual details surrounding all of this. The second season is expected to begin shooting in Toronto later on this month. PW Insider notes they were told by numerous sources the series is scheduled to film at least through October, so the likelihood of Samoa Joe being on AEW TV during this period of time is pretty low. Now, interestingly, it was further said by PW Insider that they have confirmed a number of WWE talent, including Montez Ford, Cedric Alexander, and Apollo Crews, auditioned for a new character in the show named Axel. However, it was added that production is moving forward without any of the WWE talents having been cast in the role. So, seemingly, Samoa Joe is going to be off TV for quite some time. But there you go, guys. This latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey, guys. Thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.